Hey guys, so today we're having a look at distress inks and I'm going to show you different ways of being able to use it. I do have online classes regarding the distress inks and go a bit more in depth through it, but here's a brief over of different ways that you can use distress inks. The first technique is to simply put your rubber cling stamp onto your acrylic block, ink it up and stamp it. You'll get a very distressed look to the image. It won't be clean, crisp and clear, so be aware of that, but it's absolutely beautiful for those rustic pieces of work that you want to create. So I think the pink looks absolutely gorgeous in that star wreath. So for the next one, you just get your ink blending tool. There's two techniques that you can do with this, and you can either rub it along the edges of your paper like that, and you will end up with a really nice grounding to your card so it doesn't just kind of sit flat and not look like it pops on your work. And then the other technique is to simply blend in circular motions your ink onto your paper and you'll end up with a coloured background. And that's a different way to be able to change up your white cardstocks. So you don't necessarily have to buy a lot of colours. For the next technique, I'm using one of the Kaszazz stencils. This is a honeycomb one. You can use your mini ink blending tool to just pat your ink straight over the top of it, and you will end up with a beautiful print. You can use any stencil for this. There's so many that are available, but it's absolutely beautiful. And then for the next one, I'm just using some texture paste and my distress ink and a palette knife. So just pat your distress ink onto your craft mat or a plastic plate or a craft tray, and then grab out some of your texture paste with a palette knife and you want to mix it straight into it. Mine's a bit gloopy because my desk sits right over the top of a vent for a heater, so it's quite runnier compared to usual. It's normally a lot better than this to work with, but yeah, it is what it is. So mix your colour in and you'll end up with a really nice coloured paste, and then you can put it straight onto your work. So today I'm actually going to use that same stencil to put my texture paste on. And the main reason you want to do this too is so that you get a really nice textured look to your work. So it doesn't just end up as ink straight on paper. It ends up really, really raised and almost like it's been embossed onto your paper. So it's an absolutely great technique to do, and it takes a lot of mixing to get that colour really thoroughly through. So I'm just going to add a bit extra up the top and take some of that texture paste that's already coloured and create a darker look so that I can kind of ombre what my work's going to be. So now we're up to putting it on the stencil. It does take a little bit of time and effort to get this to work out perfectly, and a lot of practice as well, but you can smooth it over the top of your stencil, keeping it nice and fluent, and you'll end up with a beautiful colour that looks absolutely like this. And once you take it off, you realise how raised it is compared to just the ink direct on paper. It does take a while to dry, so you can use a heat tool, but be warned not to use too much heat to do it, as it can puff up. So be warned of that, but if you're really careful with it and you get used to it, you'll have a great effect and it will dry in absolutely a quarter of the time. So now the cleanup is just as easy as a baby wipe, and take a really cheap baby wipe to everything, including the stencil. Just give it a quick wipe down and you're done. For the final technique, all you need is some water and paper towel, and flick the water onto your covered area of ink. Now distress inks react with water, so once you hit it with water, the pigment lifts out of the paper, and all you have to do is pat it down with some paper towel and voila, you have this absolutely stunning and beautiful water marbled effect to that ink, and I think it looks absolutely beautiful. So there you go, there are all the techniques that I can show you about distress inks, and now you know why I love to use it, from edging your paper to stamping to mini ink blending tools to stencil work and texture paste, and it's so much fun. And I hope you guys have enjoyed it and enjoyed distress inks as much as I do. So bye!